Queensland, the Sunshine State, and from within its capital city, Brisbane, Albion Park Paceway, known as the speed pacing capital of Australia, proudly hosts the Foster's 1986 Golden Jubilee Interdominion Pacing Championship.
Into the strike, 200 to run. Gamelite in front from Bunderman. Caller Bell looking for the split back on his count. Gamelite under the rip of the bell. 80 metres to run, holding them at bay. And Gamelite has won successive Interdominion. Wins by a length on Caller Bell with 3/4 of a length of Bunderman.
Chevalier clear in the straight. He pulls the whip on him. He's 2 or 3 metres in front. Gamelite coming down the outside. Village Kid trying to get out. Chevalier in front. Village Kid gets out too late. And Chevalier has won the Interdominion. 2 metres to Village Kid and no...
The Interdominion, the most prestigious pacing event on the Australian racing calendar. All is quiet here at Albion Park at the moment, but tonight history will be written with the running of the Golden Jubilee Interdominion Grand Final. The event started back in 1936 when the Tasmanian pacer Logan Darby won the inaugural event in Perth. The prize money for that event was just $3,000, in stark contrast to the $300,000 on offer for tonight's grand final, the winner taking a cheque home of $115,000. Interdominions aren't new to Albion Park. Back in 1972, Welcome Advice won against a powerful field.
Left to go, and it's Monaro. Monaro sprinted away from the opposition, opened up a lead of 3 or 4 lengths from Mygelsell and Reichman, and down the outside, Welcome Advice is flashing home. Welcome Advice has come with a withering run, and Welcome Advice wins it by a length and a half from Monaro.
Then in 1977, with the mighty Stanley Rio taking out the event.
Stanley Rio's moved up to Sporting Sun. Master Finlay's getting through on the inside. It's Stanley Rio just in front of Master Finlay and Sporting Sun. It's a New Zealand victory. Stanley Rio's won.
This year's Interdominion Grand Final will be held at the same venue, but it's a vastly different complex to what it was in 72 and 77. The area is now rated as the best pacing complex in Australia. Albion Park has had a colourful history dating back to this time last century. It's a venue, though, that hasn't only been used for pacing. Originally, Albion Park was a sand-based track used for thoroughbred racing, and over many years, legends were created by the creekers who raced at Albion Park. In 1968, harness racing was introduced to Albion Park, and again, legends were created. Names like Stormy Water, Lucky Creed, Paleface Adios all of a sudden became part of everyday life. It was when the Queensland government took over, under the racing minister Russ Hinds, that the transformation occurred here. In just under 12 months, the old racing and pacing complex was transformed with a $20 million facelift, which resulted in the complex we have here today. But along with the complex went an aggressive marketing campaign that captured the imagination of the Australian pacing public.
Hear the thunder and roar of mighty who's on the fly. See 10 horsepower charge. It's excitement, it's entertainment all night. It's the speed pacing capital of the world.
And the marketing campaign wasn't shy in promoting the Albion Park complex as the speed pacing capital of Australia. As well, the complex offered excellent betting facilities for the spectators, a first-class restaurant from where you could view all the racing, and comfortable seating for several thousand.
As your winner comes home, as your number goes flying by. It's excitement, it's entertainment all night. It's the speed pacing capital of the world.
But apart from the facilities, it's the size and the design of the circuit that really has added to the excitement. For this is the fastest 1,000-metre track in Australia. Last September, Chevalier stunned the Australian pacing public with a mile run here of an amazing 154.3.
Whalen straightening up. He's driving him hard. He's chasing the record all right. It's Chevalier 5 lengths in front. The crowd cheering for him. We're looking for 54.5 or better. It's Chevalier hitting the line. He wins it by 5 lengths. What has he gone? He slowed in the last quarter to 29.4, but he's run the record. He's got it. 154.3.
With total prize money of almost $500,000, 40 of the best pacers from Australasia have gathered here. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen 12 heats to see which horses qualify for tonight's grand final. There's been some great pacing covered by the ABC's David Morrow.
Down the outside, Wandai's mate coming at line on, and here comes Corralda Gift. Corralda Gift out when it was all over, starting to fly home, and Corralda Gift will be too good for them. Corralda Gift beat line on. The crowd disappointed perhaps because Wandai's mate stopped on his run. He finished third. Toby
Always seen some very exciting and memorable harness racing over the 3 nights of heats. Undoubtedly the star has been Village Kid, who's the only undefeated pacer going into tonight's final. It's a very representative field. 4 from Victoria, 2 each from New South Wales and Western Australia, and 1 each from New Zealand and Queensland. Village Kid was a very pronounced favourite on Saturday night. He became less pronounced as a favourite after the draw on Sunday. He's going to start from 8 behind the mobile barrier, and his 2 main dangers, well, according to the bookmakers, Bag Limit and Master Mood, are well drawn in 1 and 4.
The 10 horses in the final are not only very representative of the areas of Australasia, they're also very representative of the various stabling areas in and around Brisbane. An hour's drive south of Brisbane is the Gold Coast, where the Queensland Racing Minister Russ Hinds has his magnificent Waverley Park galloping and harness racing complex. For the past 3 weeks, this marvellously set-out racing centre has been home for tonight's second favourite, Bag Limit. Bag Limit from the powerful Bob Knight stable at Kilmore in Victoria finished close seconds behind Corralda Gift and Scientific on the first 2 nights of the carnival. But he made amends with an easy win in Heat 12 last Saturday.
Trick around the turn, and Bag Limit heads up. Lincoln Storm down the outside. Gay Moro, he's got a lap full of horse, but he can't get out, and it's Bag Limit on top. Gay Moro right up behind his back, he's about to get out. Lincoln Storm keeps him in the pocket. Bag Limit's going to win the heat though untouched. Bag Limit beats Gay Moro. Lincoln Storm third.
Despite the occasional downpour, Bag Limit has worked impressively this week, and his driver Vin Knight was obviously delighted about his charger's early good fortune in drawing number 1.
Well, how big was the smile when number 1 came out and number 10 for Village Kid on Sunday?
I threw my hands up in the air, and I was wrapped when he drew 1, because you're halfway home. You know, it's all right. People saying, you know, you got 1, you're a bit slow out, you might be trapped along the fence. Well, that's bad luck. At least I'm there to start with. If I'm out in 8, 9 or 10, well, you know, I've got to get across to get there. And that's hard enough. At least I'm there to start with, and he's got some chance now.
Well, with that in mind, how much will luck play an important role in this race?
Interdominions, I think, are all luck. I was listening to Perth there when Powerface Adios got the driver got tipped out of the cart and his own brother tipped him out. Well,
yeah, 1974.
You know, he won every heat. Powerface Adios, he won every heat up here and never won a final in Interdominion, neither did Pure Steel. So I think luck plays a big part in Interdominions.
The New South Wales trained Stylish Guy has come through the heats boldly and is perhaps the best outsider in the field. Stylish Guy was a close-up second behind Village Kid on the opening night, but always looked the winner on the second night.
Runs as Chico Dioro around the turn. Panyan seemed to miss his gate momentarily. Stylish Guy's got to the lead. Here comes Panyan out after Stylish Guy. Stylish Guy stopping, but I think he's got too much. Stylish Guy beat Panyan. Intricate flew to probably get third in front of Murano Magic. Behind those,
and he repeated the dose last Saturday.
But here comes Stylish Guy, and he's coming home quickly. Line on the mare, I think's had enough in the centre. And down the outside is Gosh. Dashing to the lead is Stylish Guy. Gosh is the danger down the outside. And look at Lickle, Welcome Frost flying home. Gosh coming out after Stylish Guy. Stylish Guy and Gosh. Stylish Guy has beaten Gosh. The very unlucky Welcome Frost third, followed by Lindy's Express and Line On.
A Stylish Guy victory would see a Queensland driver successful for the first time in Interdominion history. Peter Donahue will drive the horse because his uncle, trainer Ross Chisholm, is currently under suspension. Ross is quietly confident of victory, despite the presence of Village Kid, his conqueror, a fortnight ago.
Well, we had a yarn on Sunday morning before we went back to Sydney, and you said you'd like to draw 2. You finished up coming out of 3, so how big was the smile when you got home?
Really big it was.
Well, what about
I was going to buy a rush into a beer after doing the draw.
Well, what about Village Kid being drawn off the track a bit? Does that enhance your chances greatly?
It does a lot, and I think it evens the race up. I think if he'd drawn in close, it wouldn't have been any race. But out there, it makes a lot of difference.
Bag Limit's drawn in 1, and your fellow can probably get out a little bit quicker than Bag Limit. Do you think you could be leading on the first turn?
I think we could lead on the first turn, yeah, and from then on we'll see how it goes.
Well, what do you see as the main dangers going into the first turn? What's going to apply the pressure to you?
Oh, everything's going to apply the pressure because everyone's going to go for a sit on Village Kid, or if they can get it.
Well, what's Stylish Guy going to do? I mean, we
Well,
all know...
He's going to come out and try and get it.
What about...
Or lead if they leave him alone for a bit, he'll lead.
What are you hoping for, though, Ross? Would you like to lead, or would you be content on sitting on Village Kid's
Well,
back?
I'd be quite content to sit on Village Kid, yeah. If he
there
runs along quick, I think we'll trouble him with the finish.
This is Cooper's Plains on the southern side of Brisbane, and for the past 3 weeks, it's been the home for the Darren Binskin-trained Corralda Gift. However, in years gone by, it was the home for one of Australia's greatest pacers, Lucky Creed. Lucky Creed won 24 races straight before being beaten by Cocky Raider in a very close finish at Harold Park. Sadly, those two great pacers never won Australasia's premier pacing event. However, the luck might change for this stabling area tonight. Corralda Gift won the opening heat on the opening night in a brilliant 155.4. Bill Student around the turn and Bag Limit kicked away. Here comes Corralda Gift down the outside. It's Bag Limit and Corralda Gift. Corralda Gift coming home the better, and young Darren Binskin's going to drive a heat winner, and Corralda Gift beat Bag Limit just a breeze third from flying along the fence then was quite famous Verano Magic, Black Creek High Dianthus. Back in the field, Jazzy Joe parading second last, and Bill Student.
The Tasmanian-owned Corralda Gift has definitely been the surprise packet of the series. Trained at Bankstown in Sydney's west by Darren Binskin, the horse has improved dramatically over the past 12 months, and the lightly raced 4-year-old seems destined for big honours, irrespective of whether he's successful tonight or not. At 16 to 1, he represents good each-way value, especially when you consider that he recorded the fastest time of the series in winning the opening heat in a brilliant 155.4. That win shocked nearly everyone, but not Darren Binskin. However, the fast time was quite a surprise.
He's always shown me that he can follow any sort of speed, but to come out and win in 155.4, it is an excellent run.
Well, 12 months ago, when he first came up to Sydney, he was virtually skin and bones. Did you ever have any thoughts then that you'd finish up in the final of an Interdominion?
Well, no, that was the furthest thing from my mind at that particular time, but he's improved every time I've brought him back in for a race preparation, and he's just gone from strength to strength.
Well, barring accidents tonight, how well do you think he can go? I know you had your first accident, of course, last Sunday when the draw came out.
Yes, it was quite a shock to me to be drawn out that wide, but I think being in the race, and it's going to be a lot of speed on, he's the type of horse that can be thereabouts at the end of the race, yeah.
Well, obviously, Village Kid's the horse to beat. Do you think that Bag Limit, who you've had a bit to do with, of course, being closely associated with Vin Knight, is probably the #1 danger besides Village Kid?
Yes, Bag Limit is an excellent staying horse, which to win in a Dominion, you've got to have staying ability no matter what distance they are. I think Bag Limit's the main danger, but there's a couple other horses in there that are capable of also surprising, I think, David.
The beautiful-looking Victorian Vanderpoort was responsible for one of the biggest runs of the series when he finished a gallant second behind Village Kid in Heat 5. But he still had to win last Saturday to make the final, and that's exactly what he did.
Is Lindy's nymph between runners Barada and Toby Duan, all bailed up with nowhere to go. Vanderpoort dashed away. Mastermood trying hard. Corralda Gift just can't get out from behind the leader. Vanderpoort is coming down to the line. Corralda Gift out now but won't get Vanderpoort. Vanderpoort beat the unlucky Corralda Gift. The next one to finish was Mastermood from Toby Duan, also unlucky. Behind those tricky
Vanderpoort's driver is Anne James, the first ever lady driver to compete in the Interdominion. And she was obviously over the moon about her success last Saturday.
This your highlight?
Oh, yes. Oh, well, next week would be a highlight if we happen to make the final. I think that'd be the ultimate.
Vanderpoort, a great improvement tonight. What do you think was the reason for the improvement?
We didn't arrive until 2 days before the first heat. He had a very torrid trip up, and it was a lot to expect of him. To come out and race on the Saturday night, and he didn't have any luck. A lot of people don't see those sort of things when you run back in the field, and he ran a great second to Village Kid Wednesday night, so we're expecting he'd go well tonight.
One thing that is certain about tonight, Vanderpoort definitely has the best looking driver, and trainer Don Murphy agrees.
Yes, that's right. Anne has done a tremendous job on him, really. She doesn't do a lot of driving, but it mostly confines all of driving to driving him now, but she's handled him extremely well in the big races.
Does he seem to go better for her than anyone else?
Well, he hasn't had many other drivers. He's had Graham Lang driving him. He drove him in the Hunter Cup. And Tommy Maher drove him in his 2-year-old days. But Anne has driven him ever since.
Stabled with Vanderford on the Gold Coast is Gay Morrow from Bendigo in Victoria. Gay Morrow finished third in last year's final, and his trainer-driver Ken Pocock believes that the horse is a better chance this year.
Oh, well, he's in it, and, you know, he's come through the series terrific. In fact, he's done that well. I had to lighten him off a little bit as far as feed goes. He's done too well. But, well, if he gets, in the right spot, and they go a bit silly up ahead, he'll come home all right. He's never really had a hard run through the series. He's getting a few points all the time.
Well, how would you rate his chances this year to last year when he ran third behind Preux Chevalier?
Well, I think he's got a better show. Last year, even though this horse is a distance horse, he likes plenty of distance, but he came from last in last year's carnival, and he only got beat 2 metres, but it was just made to suit him a bit last year. And over the shorter distances, I've had to bustle him a bit early, and he likes to drop out, really, to show his best.
Seems to me, Ken, there's going to be 2 or 3 horses that might like to drop out in Saturday night's race, and about 6 or 7 that might want to bustle up early. It could well be a race where the horses from behind will be figuring in the finish if they do go hard early.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to drop out too far. Like you won't catch the horses up in the head.
What is it about Albion Park where you've got to be close to the lead? Is it because it's such a fast circuit?
Oh, they run such fast last quarters, and it's such a beautiful track, you know. It's the best track I've ever driven on.
All the visitors have stayed at various points of the compass in and around Brisbane. The New Zealand combination of Kevin Williams and Master Mood have been stationed near Redcliffe. The Redcliffe Paceway in the middle 70s was regarded in Australia as perhaps the fastest, and in fact the mare Roma Hanover set an Australian record here during that period. Well, Master Mood has perhaps been disappointing over the 2nd and 3rd night of heats, but on the opening night he was very impressive in winning in 1:56. Falcon's had enough. Gay Morrow's going to be the danger of any. Bundanoon boxing on well and getting up on the fence as Egmont Lehigh, but turning for home. Kevin Williams looked behind him and says, let's go. Master Mood kicked away. Gay Morrow starting to make a battle out of it, but Master Mood's going to brilliantly win the 4th heat, and Master Mood comes down 3rd quarter 29-3, last quarter 28-3, and a brilliant performance.
The perfectly actioned Master Mood worked solidly at Redcliffe on Wednesday with his training partner, the other New Zealander Barana. The Kiwi is in tip-top order for tonight, and his trainer-driver Kevin Williams is confident his mood will justify his high rating. Well, Kevin, the first night he went 1:56, and you must have been on top of the moon after that brilliant performance first up.
Oh, yes, it was pretty exciting, all right. It's a great time for a young horse to go.
Well, what about the Wednesday and the Saturday night heats after that? Were you a little bit disappointed with him, or were you quite pleased with the 2 runs?
Well, I think perhaps from the draws he had, I was pleased on the 2nd night of the carnival. He made a big run down the back and still was right there, pretty near to the line, so he went a good race. The last night, I didn't think he went quite as well as he had the other 2 nights, so while I wouldn't say I was disappointed, I thought perhaps he didn't go quite as well as I expected him to.
Well, now he's had an extra week off after the 3 hard runs in a week. Do you expect him to be a better horse in the final?
Yes, he seems to be brightening up every day, and I think he will be a better horse than he was on the last night.
Well, what is it about the Albion Park track that suits Master Mood, perhaps even, say, better than the horse you've been training with for most of the carnival, Barana?
Well, it certainly is a speed track. I don't know whether it's the track that is making them one horse go better than the other, but it certainly seemed to suit my bloke on the first day. Yes, it did. It's a great track, and they can certainly go the times on it.
Well, what about the final? The draw, not 100%, but then I suppose with Village Kid drawn out wide, things could be worse.
Too right, they could be. It's a lot better than we had on the other 2 nights.
20 miles south of Brisbane now, at a little place called Wellington Point. It's the home of John Storia, and it's still on Moreton Bay. Beautiful setting, lovely country setting, and this is also the home of Scientific, the horse which amazed everyone on the 2nd night of heats on the Wednesday night when he recorded a sensational 1:55.5, and he beat home the 2nd and 3rd favourites, Bag Limit and Master Mood. Most of the Queenslanders had heard of Scientific, but not many in the southern states. And the Queenslanders not only think he's the sentimental favourite, they think he's the favourite tonight as well, and he'll run a very big race.
Scientific had had only 30 race starts before the Interdominion began a fortnight ago, and many experts gave him little chance of making the final. However, that brilliant win in Heat 7 over Bag Limit and Master Mood brought the Queensland crowd to its feet.
So too was Poleface Bubble with Welcome Frost. Heads a turn for home. Scientific a length and a half on Bag Limit. He hasn't moved too much on Master Mood, and down the outside is Poleface Bubble. Here comes Bag Limit out after Scientific. Bag Limit and Scientific. Scientific in front. Bag Limit's very tough. He's very hard. Scientific, Bag Limit. Scientific in front. Scientific, Bag Limit dives on the line very tight.
Tonight, the John Storia-trained 5-year-old will no doubt be the local crowd's sentimental favourite to make it an all-sunshine state victory. And there's a measure of confidence in the camp as well.
Well, John, how's the horse gone along since the 3 heats?
He's come along quite good. I've been very pleased with him.
I think a lot of people are a bit surprised with his brilliant performance on the Wednesday night, the second night of heats, but it didn't seem to be too surprising to you.
I always thought that he could run about 156. But he did surprise me when he ran away from the others a little bit. That was a bit of a surprise, but the horse, in my opinion, always had the ability to do something like that.
He seems to me to be a horse that only just does what you ask him to do.
Yes, he's a very lazy horse, and you've got to make him do what you want him to do, otherwise he just does what he likes, more or less.
He's a bit of a stayer, so I dare say you'd be hoping the speed's on from the time the starter says go.
Yes, I hope the speed's on. I'd like to see it run somewhere around the 55 gate for the full journey, and just hope that we're there at the end.
So you think that you'll be coming from behind? There's no alternative really coming out of 7?
Well, I don't think we got the early speed to go with them, but you know, we just hope to be coming home all right. If the speed's on up early, we might have some sort of a chance at the other end.
Well, obviously you're a bit disappointed about not driving it yourself, but you've got all the faith in the world with Desi Weeks from Ipswich.
Yes, Desi's a top driver, and we decided on Desi because he's had a lot of experience, and he was our choice of a driver, and we're quite pleased with his performance.
The undoubted star of the series and rightful favourite is Village Kid from Fremantle in Western Australia. Trained by the amiable butcher from the west, Bill Horn, Village Kid has thrived in Queensland and seems to be improving with each run. His track work has been good this week, and his 3 straight wins in the heats were recorded with his driver Chris Lewis hardly ever having to move.
She's able, followed then by Glenmore Admiral and Toby Dewan, that Chris Lewis said, let's go on the West Australian champ. They're all struggling behind him. He's going to come down and win the 3rd heat untouched. Village Kid storms down to the line and wins easily. Second, Stylish Guy. But look at this magnificent Western Australian champ go. His 3rd quarter in 28.1 as he comes round the turn into the straight with a break about 15 metres on Vanderpoort, who's fighting on pretty well. Gay Moro down the outside with Gosh. But look at Village Kid. Village Kid's going to come down and brilliantly take heat 5. It's going to be a good go for second around the turn. And Chris Lewis says, let's go. And Village Kid, untouched, starts to stride away. Scientific down the outside with Morano Magic on the rails, but Village Kid is going to streak away, and he wins the heat brilliantly.
Trainer Bill Horn is confident despite drawing wide, and in fact thinks that the horse may have even improved during the past 7 days.
Yes, I think he has. He's done well. He hasn't gone, well, let's put it this way, he hasn't gone back 1 inch, and I thought last Saturday was the best of his 3 runs, and so we'll see how good, whether the others have improved enough to beat him.
Well, why did you think that last Saturday was the best of the 3 of them?
Well, he had a little bit of strife there at the start, and there wasn't quite enough room for him to get through, and then when Chris did get him through, he had to urge him through quickly, and then he had to grab hold of the reins to stop hitting the gate, and which caused him not to come out quite as fast, and Trevor Warwick saw what had happened and decided to try and get to the front, and I think they ran a pretty smart 200 there for a while, and then he's come out and kicked on and ran the second fastest time on this track at that distance.
Well, Trevor Warwick's also from Western Australia. Do you think he would have kicked up if he knew that you weren't in a bit of difficulty?
I don't know. He's a very astute driver, Trevor, and he seizes every opportunity to win, and I think he goofed that one.
Well, talking about Chris Lewis, are you going to give him any driving instructions at all?
Oh, we'll have a good discussion about the race, the morning of the race, and that. But it still comes down to the nitty-gritty. Is you can't draw a race up before the race, but Chris is pretty astute, he's pretty cool, and if things don't turn out as we planned, he'll change accordingly, and he'll drive a good race.
Well, Chris is fairly experienced, of course. He won with Carclew in 1976, but he has driven for you before in Interdominion series.
Yes, we've been very fortunate. We've had a finalist 3 years in a row now, and I'm very proud of it. And he drove a Black Irish last year at, not last year, the year before last. He drove Village Kid last year and again this year, so he's, I don't think he'll be overawed by the situation.
Well, fourth 2 years ago, second last year, first in 1986.
Well, we've got our fingers crossed anyway, David.
Is there any free meat and free medal if he wins?
Well, we have a bit of a policy down there. When the horses lose, the customers come in and say, we've got to strap up the meat. Have we backed your horse? We've got no money. So I reckon when the horses win, we charge a little extra.
So there'll be a lot of profit in the coffers on Monday.
Well, I don't know about profit, because we also, whenever we win a big race, we have a champagne party in the butcher shop. And there's a lot of humour, as you can imagine.
I'll tell you what, the champagne will be flowing on Monday, I hope. Anyway, best of luck, Bill.
Good. Thank you very much, David.
Before the series started, many people regarded the main danger to Village Kid as being the other Western Australian, the mare Lion. Well, she's been dogged by bad luck, bad draws, and also during the past week, she's had to overcome an injury cloud. She's rated at long odds now by the bookmakers and has given very little chance of taking out tonight's final. So too is Gosh. He just got into the final field with 22 points, and the bookmakers also think that Gosh is really beyond the chances in winning the race. But my selections, well, how do you go past Village Kid? He's been outstanding, and I think that, as Bill Horn said, he's going to be even further improved in tonight's race. I think the New Zealander might be Village Kid's main danger, and I've put in for third, Stylish Guy from New South Wales.
So the scene is set for what should be a tremendous race tonight. The already large seating capacity here at Albion Park has been supplemented by additional seating, and the activities planned for the grand final make it look more like a football grand final than a pacing classic. ABC Sport will bring you all the action from 8:30, and as with the previous heats, we'll have a camera mounted on the mobile barrier which will send the finalists away on the 2100 metre journey and one horse into the history books.